Have you ever had the feeling that you lost control of yourself? As if your emotions were pushing you into directions you would never choose in their right mind? The anger that explodes, the fear that paralyzes, the anxiety that steals sleep. If you've lived this, and we've all lived, this video is for you. Today, I will show you why emotions are like the wind and how you can learn to be the captain of your inner ship. But beware, what you will hear here is no cheap self-help, no ready-made sentences that are lost at the end of the day. These are teachings of men who have faced wars, betrayals, and deep losses, and yet kept calm. Epicteto, Seneca, and Marco Aurelio. Three giants of Stoic philosophy that can change the way you face your emotions and completely transform your mind. You will find out why controlling emotions does not mean repressing them, but mastered them wisely. You will understand how to use reason as a compass, even on days when everything seems to crumble. And, above all, you will leave this video with practical tools to recover control of your emotional life, even if you are drifting today. Emotions blow hard, change direction, and sometimes even cause storms within us. But what the Stoics teach us is that we are not the wind, we are the captain. Marco Aurelio said, "You have power over your mind, not about external events." This means that, as intense as emotions, we have the choice of how to react. Stoic philosophy is, above all, an emotional navigation manual. Being the captain requires conscience. It is not about repressing what you feel, but about not letting the feeling dictate the route. Emotions like anger, fear, or sadness are not enemies, they are signs. These are winds that blow to alert us, not to knock us down. A good captain observes the wind, adjusts the candles, and follows the course. Imagine that you are in a meeting and someone disrespects you. The immediate impulse is to react with anger. But the Stoic observes, understands the emotional wind, breathes, and responds firmly and serenity. This is the practice. It is not a question of becoming cold, but of maintaining rudder control. Emotions change. A soft breeze can turn a storm in an instant. Therefore, Stoicism calls us to vigilance. Epicteto reminds us, it's not the things that disturb us, but our opinion about them. It is in this choice, between stimulus and response, that the captain's power is. By recognizing emotions as external forces, you become freer. It is not because the sea is agitated that you will leave the ship. On the contrary, the captain stays, adjusts the candles, and follows. Stoic self-control is like a daily naval training. People today seek balance, emotional strength, and mental clarity. And Stoicism delivers this with simplicity and depth. To be a captain is to train the look, sharpen thought, and dominate the helm every day. So the next time the wind blows hard inside you, ask yourself, am I being taken or am I driving? This simple question can completely change the way you react to life. The compass of a captain is the reason. For the Stoics, living rightly is living in harmony with nature. Seneca wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without dependent on the future." Exaggerated emotions throw us out of the route. The reason brings us back. When we feel angry, anxiety, or euphoria, it is easy to lose its course. But if we stop and think clearly, we see the situation from another angle. This is living with wisdom. Reason does not erase the emotion, but organizes it, guides it. Imagine an investor who is carried away by the market euphoria. He buys impulsively, loses money, and frustrates. Stoic, on the other hand, analyzes the facts coldly, reflects, makes decisions based on principles. This is the difference between acting with emotion and acting rightly. The rational mind is like a compass even in the worst storms. When everything seems out of control, reason reminds us of what we can control: our attitudes, our thoughts, our posture in the face of life. This is inner power. Many think that it is cold, but for Stoic, reason is clarity. It is to see with lucidity where our power is. Emotion is the wind. The reason is the map. And when we have a map and compass, even the worst storms become navigable. Stoic practices clarity, as one who cleanses the glass to see the horizon. It is not about not feeling, but understanding before acting. Reason is the filter that separates decision impulse. Train your mind so as not to surrender to the impulse. Whenever something takes you from the axis, seek what the Stoic people call logos, the divine reason that dwells in us. It is the compass that points the north, even in the dark. Just as the wind does not break a tree of deep roots, strong emotions do not knock those who are emotionally rooted. Stoic cultivates virtues such as fortress, patience, and resilience. Marco Aurelio said the art of living resembles a struggle than a dance. Our days are full of unforeseen events, delays, criticism, losses. All this blows against our tranquility, but inner firmness is built with training. It is like strengthening invisible muscles. With each dominated emotion, more roots form. Think of someone who lost their job. The first emotion can be despair, but Stoic understands that life is impermanent and that virtue is in reacting with dignity. He does not deny the pain, but does not let her define her identity. Resilience is not absence of pain. It is strength to cross the pain with serenity. And this force comes from the habit. We are tested daily, and each test is a chance to grow, to deepen, to root more. Be careful not to confuse firmness with rigidity. The firm tree folds with the wind, but does not break. So also the Stoic, it is flexible, but keeps its values unshakable. It adapts without getting lost. Many seek emotional stability without realizing that this comes from the daily practice of virtue. And Stoicism is a fertile soil where these roots grow. Strong inside, calm on the outside. Be like the tree. Don't fight the wind. Learn from him. Grow from him. With every thrilled emotion, you become firmer, freer, and more whole. If the captain ignores the wind, the ship can turn. Similarly, those who ignore their emotions risk sinking into them. Epictetus said, "It's not the things that disturb us, but the opinion we have about them." Poorly interpreted emotions cause internal storms. The secret is not to ignore them, but to understand them. When we do not deal with our emotions, they accumulate like water entering the basement of the ship. A small hurt becomes a resentment. An unresolved fear becomes chronic anxiety. Self-knowledge is the drain that prevents wreck. Let's imagine someone who represses his sadness for years. One day, any banal comment activates an explosion. This is because the captain was not aware of the accumulation of water. Stoic examines its emotions regularly. He makes maintenance on the soul ship. Taking care of emotional health is like keeping the boat hull strong. Stoic is not ashamed to feel, but neither does feelings navigate alone. He faces them, he understands, learns from them. This is deep emotional intelligence. Ignoring emotions is not strength, it is negligence. True strength is to face what you feel courageously, in turning pain into wisdom. And Stoicism is this lighthouse that illuminates our internal shadows. Don't wait for the ship to start sink. Examine your feelings daily. Write down, reflect, talk to yourself. The captain who inspects the ship avoids tragedies. Consciousness is your lighthouse. It is not about eliminating the wind, but of adjusting the candles before the storm comes. Untreated emotions can destroy relationships, sabotage your peace, and block your growth. Take care of your inner sea. Stoicism teaches that, between feeling and acting, there is a break, and this interval is our power. Seneca wrote, "Hurry is an enemy of perfection." And in the emotional world, reacting on impulse is like turning the rudder sharply on the high seas dangerous. Wisdom is in choosing calmly. Between being offended and offending back, there is a space of choice. And it is in this space that freedom lives. Stoic trains self-control to answer, not react. He assumes the rudder even when the current pulls hard. Imagine a driver who closes you in traffic. Anger rises, the impulse wants to honk, curse. But Stoic breathes background, analyzes, is it worth it? Will you change something? He chooses to focus on the route. The rudder remains firm. This choice is not natural. It requires practice. It's like strengthening a muscle. The more you choose peace, the easier you become control. Choosing with wisdom is a virtue that develops over time. Each moment of voltage is a test, and each right choice strengthens its autonomy. Being captain is not having wind control, but knowing how to spin the rudder intelligently, even at the worst moments. The rudder is always there, but we don't always remember that. Stoic keeps a firm hand, even when everything around it tries to push it away from itself. He trusts his own direction. So the next time the emotion wants to take command, remember the rudder is in your hands. Use it calmly, consciously, and virtue. You are in charge. A common mistake is to expect life to always be quiet. But Stoicism prepares us to face the busy seas. Marco Aurelio wrote, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." This includes accepting that not every day will be easy. Intense emotions arise especially when reality does not meet our expectations. The sea revolts, and we want it to calm back quickly. But Stoic learns to navigate even in the longest storms. Imagine losing something or someone important. The pain comes as strong, repeated waves. Stoic does not pretend that the sea is calm. He faces mourning with courage, recognizing sadness, but not drowning in it. Accepting chaos is part of the control. It sounds contradictory, but it is not. You do not control the waters, but control your boat. Stoic prepares for the worst, not for pessimism, but for wisdom. This is called premeditatio malorum, anticipating evil. Life is made of ups and downs. Those who prepare emotionally for the lows sail with more stability, and each exceeding storm becomes a class of strength and wisdom. True tranquility does not depend on the sea. It depends on the captain, and Stoic practices this inner readiness daily. He does not expect calm to follow, he follows, despite the waves. Remember, it is not in the calm sea that the best captains form. It is in adversity that Stoic proves its virtue and goes on, with courage in the chest and peace in the soul. We cannot always change the wind, but we can always adjust the candles. This is the essence of Stoic wisdom, adapting without losing the course. Epictetus said, "Do not look for events to happen as you want, but want them to happen as they happen." This is freedom. When an unexpected emotion arises, such as jealousy, frustration, or fear, the impulse is to fight it or to drown in it. But Stoic observes, understands, and adjusts. It changes the attitude, not reality. This is the art of living with flexibility. An example: you expected a promotion at work, but she was given to someone else. The disappointment comes strong. Stoic allows us to feel, but adjusts the candles of the mind. What can I learn? How can I improve? It transforms loss into progress. This flexibility requires emotional maturity. It is not about accepting everything passively, but of responding wisely. It is knowing that not every wind is favorable, but everyone can be useful. Just know how to use. Adjusting candles is a gesture of courage. It is assuming that the initial plan has changed, but the destination is still worth it. And this is deeply liberating, because it shows that control is, yes, within us. Adjustment is not withdrawal. It is wisdom in action. Stoic doesn't fight with reality, he works with her. And so, even on a new route, it remains firm in its purpose. In the next turbulence, ask yourself, what is under my control now? This simple question may be the candle you need to adjust to continue browsing firmly in wisdom. Not every teaching comes from agitation. Sometimes it is in silence that the greatest wisdom appears. Seneca said, "The big souls suffer in silence." Stoic values recollection, introspection. He knows that in silence we hear ourselves better. Many emotions come from excessive noise, from opinions, distractions, comparisons. It is like a sea too noisy to realize the direction of the wind. Silence, in silence, finds clarity. He practices what we today call the presence. Imagine a difficult day. Instead of sinking into complaints, you withdraw, watch your mind, breathe. Silence allows you to understand the root of emotion. Maybe it wasn't angry, but tiredness. Maybe it was not fear, but lack of preparation. Silence reveals. To silence is not to isolate yourself from the world. It is to create internal space. It is off the autopilot. It is listening to reason and soul instead of the cry of emotion. And this, over time, becomes an inner strength practice. Create moments of silence in your day. It may be upon waking, before bed, or on a walk. The important thing is to create a space where wisdom can whisper away from emotional winds. Silence does not erase emotions. He reveals what is behind them. And with this vision, Stoic returns to the helm with more awareness and clarity. In the sea of life, silence is like the clean sky. It does not prevent the wind, but allows us to see it better. Stoic sails with the wind, but decides the direction in silence. Every intense emotion seems eternal when we are inside her. But, like any storm, it passes. Marco Aurelio wrote, "All that happens is bearable, because it has happened to others." This reminder is balm for moments of despair. When you are anxious, sad, or in crisis, the brain believes this will last forever. But Stoic breathes deeply and says to itself, "This will pass too." He does not cling to suffering, but also does not hurry him. He supports with courage. A young man who has lost a great love, for example, will feel the pain, but will also remember that life is cyclical, that today's emotional winter will be followed by another season. And this view keeps it firm. Resilience is not pretending that everything is fine. It is knowing that it will not be like this forever. The pain decreases. Fear weakens. Chaos calms down. Stoic navigates with this faith that everything goes through, including the hardest emotions. If you are in the midst of a storm now, remember it has a date to end. It may not seem like it, but it will pass. And when you pass, you will be stronger, wiser, and freer. Do not run away from pain. Cross. And at the end of it, look back and see you survived the revolted sea. And learn more about who you are. The captain does not leave the ship in the storm. He holds firm, trusts in the process, and awaits the sun. This is the Stoic courage, not giving up in the midst of chaos. Finally, what we learned from this Stoic journey is that it is worth crossing the emotional sea with courage. Marco Aurelio concludes life is not to wait for the storm to pass, but to learn to dance in the rain. Each emotion faced is a lesson of freedom. The inner crossing requires effort. It is not easy to keep control when everything around it tries to knock us down. But each time you decide to be the captain, not the victim, you approach a fuller, more serene life. Stoic does not seek perfection, but progress. He doesn't blame himself for feeling, but learns to sail better every day. And that is true evolution, to become someone who feels deeply but lives wisely. Practical example: someone who suffered with anxiety after months of study and Stoic practice learns to recognize triggers, to breathe before reacting, to change their thoughts. He did not heal the emotion, but learned to navigate with her. Keep sailing. Every day you train your mind, your helm gets firmer. The wind will never stop blowing. But now, you know how to adjust the candles and move on. The freedom you seek is not to eliminate emotions, but to conduct them. And this is within the reach of those who choose to practice Stoicism with humility and persistence. And always remember the phrase that started everything: emotions are like the wind, you are the captain of the ship. Do not fear the sea. Master the helm. Now that you have understood that emotions are like the wind and that you have the power to hold the rudder, I ask you, how has your crossing been? Have you let the emotions take you, or have taken control of your own ship? Think about the last times it has been dominated by anger, anxiety, or frustration. What would have changed if you applied what you learned today? What different decisions could have made if I had acted as an Epicteto, Seneca, or Marco Aurelio? Remember, Stoicism is not a distant theory. It is a practical way to live with more balance, clarity, and inner power. And the journey begins with small daily choices. So what will your first Stoic choice be from now on? If this content talked to you, you woke up something inside you, then don't let this reflection die here. Subscribe to the channel, enable notifications, and come and walk with us on this route of wisdom, strength, and self-control. Because the sea will never stop blowing. But now, you know you are the captain.